All right, boys and girls, this lesson today is on rounding to the nearest tens, hundreds, thousands, and 1,000s. So the first thing you want to know when you're rounding is where you have to round to. You have to make sure you really understand place value, your ones, your tens, your hundreds, your thousands, your 10,000s, and if you get to it, your hundreds, thousands. So just be really careful to focus on what place you want to round to. So let's start off with rounding to the nearest 10. The first thing I want to do is I want to underline the place that they're asking me to round to. So if they're asking me to round to the nearest 10, I'm going to underline the tens. So in the number 378, my tens house is right here where the 7 is. So my rule usually is, and there's a little song that people sing, my rule is 4 or less, let it rest, 5 or more, let it soar. So basically what that means is I'm going to underline the house they're asking me to round. Then I'm going to go to my neighbor. I have to go to my neighbor. He's the one that tells me what I have to do. My neighbor to my right, not to my left. So I look at my neighbor and I say, is it 4 or less? Nope, so I'm not going to let it rest. Let it rest would mean go to 0. If it's 5 or more, that means I'm going to let it soar. I'm going to go higher. So the number that actually changes or that goes up or stays the same is the one that you're underlining. So in this case, the 8 is 5 or more, let it soar, which means that this number is going to change. It's going to go up 1. So instead of 378, it's going to go to 380. Now the other rule I have to remember about rounding is that every number, or every digit I should say, after the house they're asking you to round to is going to be a 0. It doesn't matter if there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 digits after that. They're all going to be zeros. Let me give you another example. Let's go to the thousands now. Let's say I'm going to do the number 2,461. We just did the hundreds, now I'm in the thousands. So, again, I'm going to underline the house that I want to round. Underlining the thousands house. I have to go to my neighbor. My neighbor is 4. 4 or less, let it rest, which means this number I'm not going to do anything to. I'm going to keep it the same. And then my last rule is every digit after this one, the underlined one, is going to become a 0. Let's try one more. Let's go to the 10,000s. Let's say 44,638. So we did hundreds, we did thousands, now we're at 10,000s. I'm going to go to my 10,000s house. I'm going to look at my neighbor. My neighbor again is a 4. It's 4 or less. Let it rest. So that means this digit that I am underlining is going to stay the same, and everything else after that is going to be zeros. If you watch the next video on rounding, I'll actually give you a couple examples where it's not the first digit, it's actually maybe the digits on the inside that you have to round.